was told from my very early days that I was going to be thrown on the scrap heap, that I was no good for anything and I wouldn't amount to anything. But I've learned now to realise actually I am someone and I am worth something.
This is UNSILENT, a speak series from NoStigmas that champions mental health advocacy and challenges the stigmas that prevent people from getting the help they need. I'm Eli Lawson, a producer for the show. This week, NoStigmas Lance Bordelone will be having a conversation with Chris, an advocate against cyberbullying. We'll hear about Chris's difficult past and how early diagnoses with borderline personality disorder and autism made it that much harder. We'll learn about the devastating effects of online bullying and how it's costing lives, but we'll also see how conversation and support make a huge difference. Thank you for being here. If you want to learn more or contact us, visit nostigmas.org. Don't face it alone. Be UNSILENT. This week's episode contains mentions of suicide, substance abuse, and bullying. While there's nothing explicit, it could be triggering for some. It's okay if you need to skip this one. Do what's right for you.
What is your connection to the cause of mental health advocacy? Like, what brings you with us today?
It was basically due to my background. It was because I had a lot of bullying online due to my disability of autism and BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. I didn't fit in at primary school. I was the last kid to get picked at sports. And
Me too, though.
like, I was a loner, didn't fit in, had problems at home, usual story. Went to high school, thought that life would be better. It wasn't. I basically went from set 1, which is like the highest grade in school, like the well-to-do, the wouldn't misbehave sort of class, down to set 6, which is like the we've given up on you lot. Fell out of school, got into some quite serious trouble.
Did you come into any diagnoses as a kid, or when did you come into some diagnoses?
My diagnosis didn't kick in till I was early 20s, late 20s.
Okay.
That's when I had problems in employment.
Mm-hmm. And that's the borderline personality, or
bit of both. It was the autism and the BPD.
Okay.
I worked at 2 major brand supermarkets where things very, very quickly went wrong. And after that, I went on a very, very spiral downwards of the over-counter prescription meds and drink, which didn't help.
I know today we're going to really dive into some talk about cyberbullying, but going back to just old school bullying, was it always a part of your story? Was it always something that you had around you?
Yeah, bullying was a big part of my life from more or less the get-go. It was name calling, it was kicking, it was being spat on, it was rumours, it was just pure nastiness from the get-go, from year 7 to when I was finally kicked out.
So how did you handle those times in school?
I didn't. I was more or less off the handle. Every opportunity I could get, I would just fly off the handle.
Did you, at that time, did you feel like you maybe had maybe something going on with your mental health, or did anyone tell you that?
Yeah, my teachers tried to tell my parents at the time that something may be wrong, but my parents didn't want to know at the time. They thought it was just little lad being a bad lad, as they did back then.
Right. What brought about, how to walk us through, like, coming into a borderline personality disorder diagnosis? Like, you mentioned you were kind of lashing out and maybe the work was hard. What was that journey like to get there?
It was really hard from the point of view that knowing that my employers didn't want to know about what was going on behind the scenes. And it was just, again, he's a bad lad, he's a young lad, he'll grow out of it one day. And no.
Yeah.
And then it led to me doing some really, really drastic, unfortunate stuff, which I don't want to delve too much into.
That's okay. So you were eventually you found your way to a psychiatrist, I guess, or to a doctor.
Yeah. Okay. I was sectioned after purposely crashing my first car whilst under the influence of prescription meds.
When you finally got to talk to somebody, what was that kind of those conversations like for you? I mean, did you feel like finally someone's listening to me? Finally someone sees me?
Yeah, I did up to a point, and then they basically said, because I can put on the front for so long, they basically said to me that you're not, quote, dead enough to warrant support. Come back when you're dead enough. So, like, we're now going to discharge you from service. Look after yourself. Oh, I wanted more support, but it was just down to the fact that I can put on the front so much that I look normal, I act normal, I can get on with daily life. Well, over here, there's so many hoops to jump through, because you've got what's called your normal NHS, and then you've got other services on top, like IAPS, which is IAPT, which is the access to psychological services, which again is more hoops to go through.
Yeah.
So whenever there's 4 tiers, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, which is like 1 is your very, very mild, nothing wrong with you, to the tier 4, which is like you're in dire straits of suicide.
Right.
Which I was bordering on 3, 4 at the time.
If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org for support via live chat. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, please call 911. Other resources are linked in the show notes.
Wow. So what took you, I mean, how did you go from, okay, you're good, go live your life, Chris, you got this, to the next step?
It was basically that I went downhill quickly. I was not engaging with services, I was not engaging with my GP, and I got literally restrained by police for going AWOL on a number of occasions, who basically then put me on meds, which I refused point blank to take. And my behaviour got worse, my running away got worse and more dangerous.
I mean, was diagnosis acceptance tough for you? Did you accept kind of, okay, this is where you are, this is what we think is going on? Did you accept that easily, or was that
not easily? No,
not easily. What was that like for you?
It was quite hard, because it took me a while to actually research what things meant, and after a period of a few months, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this clicks, I understand myself now.
Where did cyberbullying start to be a part of your life?
It basically started with me being part of my local town forum group here in Winsford in Cheshire, and it's run by some very not nice people.
Okay.
Who don't like
so this is like a Facebook community? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it turned them into basically threatening me, threatening my family, using the police as weapons against me. Again, the running away started again. So I've had lots of interactions in the last 18 months with police in various different towns of the UK. I was running away to different towns, like having police interaction, different police stations, different custody suites.
Why was that happening, or what was going on?
I just wasn't thinking, I just want to be somewhere safe. I'm going to disappear.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I had helicopters out looking for me, police dogs, police on the ground, helicopters, all that, every time.
Wow. And that was because you didn't want to be in any one place? You wanted to just... Okay.
I just didn't feel like I fit in anywhere.
Wow. Was cyberbullying, did that continue while you were kind of feeling out of place?
Yeah, it was getting more and more intense. And then things have only recently quietened down, with the people involved have now been arrested. So that's a step forward. So
I know that the articles that you've shared with us have, kind of talked about this national award. Can you tell me about that?
That basically started with me saying that enough was enough, and I don't want anyone else to go through what I've been through online, because it's not very nice for anyone, let alone families that are behind this. And I thought, well, I'm going to write to my MP. So I wrote to my MP, and he's like, yeah, things do need to change before a tragic suicide happens. And he got me in touch with a charity called sense.org.uk, which is a national UK charity for disability people. And they said, we'll nurture you, we'll support you with this anti-cyberbullying mission. We'll sort you out with a Twitter account and get yourself known.
So what's come of that relationship?
They're still a part of my life, and I'll be seeing them in July of this year because we've got a very, very big national anti-disability conference coming up in Warrington, UK.
Nice. What do you want to tell people who don't understand or who can't understand what it's like to be cyberbullied? Like, what do you want them to understand?
Some people online can say, I care about you, I like you, I want to be friends with you, but you have no idea what that ulterior motive can be. Mm-hmm. Just basically to be careful, not to get lured in. We've had both old and young people in Cheshire that have committed suicide this past 2 weeks with cyberbullying. So it's been very, very in the press recently.
Other than just kind of like, okay, be careful, be aware. I mean, how do we save these people in our lives?
I think it's about it. Well, for yourself, I think is that early intervention, isn't it? Is that talk early, and noticing the body language of the people you are talking to. I mean,
that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
There are some very, very good signs that something is really wrong.
So, where are you at today with cyberbullying? I mean, is it something that you've learned some skills around dealing, or does it still affect you?
It affects me from time to time, but I am actually now my own person. I know what I want in life, and I just basically want to give back to those who are more vulnerable than I am.
Whenever you have gotten, I don't want to like relive anything, but when you've really felt the most attacked, when you felt the most put out, how, I know that you said you made some choices that maybe you regretted or not wanted to have done, but in moments where you really felt like, I got this, how did you pull yourself out? How did you get out of those? How did you not let those comments get to you?
I basically shut down all my accounts until I actually felt better, and I actually talked to someone I trusted, look, this is what's being said. I'm not going to retaliate to this. Right. But I'd like counselling to sort myself out before I spiral.
I want to understand the autism side of your personality and that piece. Like, what do you think people are not understanding about you that makes them feel like they can bully?
I think it was more like how I behave in social interactions, because I don't deal well in like the large crowds as a normal neurotypical person would. I don't pick up that social cue that says, just shut up and listen. And I will just butt into any conversation. Which I know is not the done thing, but I think it's just the more understanding, I think, from the parents, the families, the teachers, that something may be wrong and that kid needs that extra support, rather than he or she's on a spiral down, put her on the scrappy, put him on the scrappy, because that's not helpful for you, the parent, is it? I mean,
right.
You need to come home and say, they're giving up on me, Daddy. Like, that's not funny.
Man, that's heartbreaking. Did you feel that happened to you?
Yeah.
What's your support system like now?
I've got a very good support system around me now. I've got a lady that's a mental health nurse that sees me every week to make sure that I'm A1, which I am.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And what are you doing for, I know you mentioned, working with this organization and kind of coming up to, I mean, how are you getting out there? Like, how are you passing your time?
I basically pass my time by building and repairing computers, which has been my hobby since I was about 4.
Whoa. Okay. Now let's talk about that. Building and repairing computers. So you're building and repairing technology.
Yeah.
Years after people use technology to hurt you.
It's what comes my autism. It's the motherboard, the processor, the memory, the connections, the software. It's just like joy of, I've done this, I've built this machine. I was told from my very early days that I was going to be thrown on the scrap heap, that I was no good for anything and I wouldn't amount to anything. But I've learned now to realise actually I am someone and I am worth something.
You're fixing and building computers. That takes in a lot of intelligence and talent.
Yeah.
Do you think you're so great at building machines and computers because of how your brain works?
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty cool. So what do you think would be in your future? Like, what do you think for the next 5-10 years? Like, what do you want? What do you want to see this next chapter? Like, if we leave all the muck behind, we take all the good stuff and we move forward, what do you think that looks like?
I think it's going to be a bright future because I think there's going to be a lot of changes now with, I say, the online world and more protections now coming in. Because I'm currently working with the Department for Media, Culture and Sport, which is basically the government here.
Nice.
And there's going to be a new law coming in the next 2-3 days. Days, yes.
That's good timing.
And it's going to make things illegal. So if you harass someone, you're going to go to prison.
I was going to say, that's awesome. I hope no one goes to prison, but I hope that, people are held accountable. That sounds, we got to protect our kids. We got to protect everyone, not just our kids. Well, what do you think for yourself? Like, what do you want to accomplish, or what do you hope to?
I just want to make a difference for other people. I mean, I hope to be able to go into schools and colleges and sort of give that message of just talk and talk and talk before something happens.
Absolutely. If you're the person,
it's not just the kids that suffer; it's the parents.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much for talking with us. It was so good. You're so good. So good to see you. Keep in touch with us and
will do.
Share any of your wins and hopefully we can be like an echo chamber and amplify you.
Thank you.
This is UNSILENT. Thank you for listening. Today's episode was hosted by Lance Bordelone and produced by me, Eli Lawson, John Panicucci, Lance, and the rest of the incredible NoStigmas marketing team. Special thanks to Chris for sharing his story this week and bringing awareness to such an important issue. To go beyond the show, connect with us on social media or visit nostigmas.org to learn more about mental health topics. Please leave us a 5-star review and share with others wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. New episodes of UNSILENT come out every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Finally, remember that whatever you're going through, you don't have to do it alone. Be UNSILENT. We'll see you next week.